Most of the miles that I put on my Triumph Scrambler 400X are on the freeway. Speeds anywhere between 70 and 85 miles per hour on my 47-mile commute to work. At 70 miles per hour, the tachometer is reading right around 7,000 RPMs. Now, the engine doesn't sound or feel like it's straining at 7,000 RPMs, but I wanted to try and reduce those RPMs at least a little bit to hopefully help the engine last a little bit longer and probably get better gas mileage. So I got this 15-tooth sprocket. It's from JT Sprockets. The part number is JTF 1908-15. It's a 15-tooth sprocket replacing the 14-tooth that's on the bike right now. That'll reduce the RPMs to right around 6,500 at 70 miles per hour. The first thing we have to do is take off this cover. We'll use an 8mm socket. The next step is to release these two wire traps from the sheet metal cover. That's done by releasing a little tab that's underneath and then pushing it back and off of the peg, just like that. And then we'll do the same with this one. There we go. A 5mm Allen is used to release two screws, this one and this one. The nut for the sprocket is locked into place by this washer. It's bent up to engage this face on the nut. So we'll have to straighten this out so we can get this nut off. I'm going to use my impact wrench with a 27mm socket to remove the sprocket nut. I have the engine in neutral and the rear tire on the ground so that I don't transfer any of the impact torque from this wrench into the transmission. This can deliver about 500 foot-pounds of reversing torque, so I don't want to harm the transmission by using this impact gun. We'll have to use some persuasion to get this washer off. There it is. A 24mm socket will loosen the axle nut. I'll loosen the jam nut with a 12mm wrench. Now we can turn the chain tensioner bolt. That'll allow us to put some slack in the chain. I'll do the same for the other side. Now let's see if we can get this new sprocket on. Space is really tight, so this is going to be a bit of a challenge. Alright, there we go. That was a little easier than I thought it was going to be. Now we can put the lock washer back on. Make sure it's engaging the splines. If you look at the nut, you'll see that it's a flange nut, but on one side it's flat. The flange was removed. That's what this lock washer will be bent over to engage so that it can lock this into place. But before we do that, we'll have to put some blue Loctite on this thread. The sprocket nut has to be tightened to 108 foot-pounds. I'll have to apply the rear brake so that it doesn't slip. Now I can bend that washer over to engage the flat on the nut. Let's put these covers back on. The next thing to do is to set the chain free movement, which is this slack right here on the chain. It's supposed to be between 40 and 45 millimeters total movement. So we'll set that by adjusting the tension screw. Let's take a measurement. That looks about right. To lock it in, we'll tighten the jam nut. If you look here, the swing arm is marked with some dimples. We'll have to make sure that we have the same distance on the other side of the swing arm. The axle nut has to be tightened to 72 foot-pounds. All right, we are done.